one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you will also just join me in a moment of silence for Staff Sergeant Louis Dotto of the 105th Infantry Division. He was killed in action on July 7th, 1944 at the Battle of Saipan. He was posthumously awarded the Purple Heart and the Bronze Star. And his remains, he has been missing in action for 77 years. And his remains were identified on November 3rd, 2020, through a DNA analysis through his niece, Catherine. On June 18th, we had a service up at St. John's Cemetery, and he was buried beside his parents at St. John's. So if you can join me in a moment of silence, recognizing the hero that he is. We will leave no warrior behind. May he rest in peace. Clerk, if you'll please call the roll and read the statement.
Mr. Burnett.
Present.
Ms. Johnson.
Present.
Mr. Langella.
Present.
Mr. Sacchinelli. Ms. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Heuvelman.
Present.
Mr. Roberts.
Present.
Ms. Rabulis.
You hear me?
Yep.
Ms. Young.
Here.
Mr. Kides.
Here.
Mr. Theodorides.
Here.
Mr. Keegan.
Here.
Mr. Sirenides.
Here.
Mr. Livingston.
Here.
Ms. Shanahan.
Here.
You have 14 present. You have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. King. First item on the agenda is the acceptance of the minutes of the regular meeting of June 8th, 2021. Do I have a motion? Mr. Roberts makes the motion. Do we have any corrections, deletions, omissions, or additions? Ms. Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. On page 5, under B, consent calendar, it says that I read the consent calendar, and it is, in fact, Councilmember Langella. So in those two instances of my name, to replace that with the rightful council member. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further corrections or omissions, deletions, additions? Seeing none, all in favor of approval of the minutes as corrected? Opposed? Any abstentions? Ms. Shanahan is abstaining. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is public participation. Do we have anybody who has signed in to speak?
Not seeing any hands raised.
All right. Would you ask if anybody wishes to speak and they can raise their hand and address the council?
If anyone would like to speak, raise your hands digitally, or we don't have any call in, but if you are on the phone, it's *9. Or use the raise hand at the bottom right of your Zoom. I am not seeing any.
Okay, thank you. I see no one wishing to address the council. Is there any council person or Ms. King that has correspondence that needs to be read into the record?
I have nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, I see none, so we will close the public participation section. Now resignations and appointments. I am putting forward a reappointment for Miss Sharon Connors as our purchasing agent. It gives me great pleasure to put her name forward. She's been doing a remarkable job under some very difficult circumstances. She's been very, very busy, but her work is unquestionably of highest quality, and it gives me great pleasure to put her name forward. So do I have a motion? Mr.
Motion.
Keating is moving. Any comment?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I think a lot of what her and her department does goes without a lot of recognition. But I could tell you from firsthand experience, they're a tremendous value to the city. I mean, just to know that her and the department, that the city is dependent on her and the department to find vendors and to secure qualified vendors and to ensure that the money spent by the city is going to a vendor qualified enough to not just do the job, but to do it well. And I've worked with Sharon over the years, and she's done a fantastic job, and I'm very proud to be here recommending her for reappointment this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Kites. Mr. Burnett.
Thank you, Mayor Rilling. I would also like to support the reappointment of Sharon Connors for the purchasing agent. Sharon has over 30 years of experience in sourcing and purchasing and overall procurement experience as a procurement professional. She is extremely well organized and clearly walks all those that are involved in the RFP process through the timeline as to what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, and how it should be done, which makes for a very pleasant experience. She continues to be an outstanding contributor as it relates to, especially when we transition from a manual process to an online process for tracking our purchasing operations. So she was very instrumental in terms of making that happen. So we are indeed fortunate to have Sharon on our team. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burnett. Ms. Young.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to echo what my fellow council members have said about Sharon. And, you know, I was around when Daryl Foley was with the organization and has been with the city for a very long time and really set the standard for those to follow. And Sharon has picked up that baton and has done a yeoman's job in that role and in leading her staff. It's a staff of 3, but they do the work of a staff of more than that. And so kudos to her and her leadership. She makes this process seem very easy. And I know it's not easy dealing with folks, but even her mannerism and the way that she conducts business is to be admired, and welcome her back. I'm glad she will be continuing with the city. So.
Thank you, Ms. Young. Ms. Smith.
Yes, I'd just like to chime in and just commend Sharon for her absolute professionalism and attention to detail, and just being an absolute pleasure to work with. You make all of our jobs easier, and just glad to be here reappointing you.
Thank you. Mr. Livingston?
Yeah, at the risk of inflating Sharon's ego, I just have to echo everything that's been said. I think it's been such a pleasure working with her over the years, particularly in all these school projects. And she brings such professionalism to the process, and it's really a pleasure to work with. And so I heartily support this.
Thank you, Mr. Livingston. Any further comment? Mr. Dakowitz? You're on mute.
It's easy for me. I'm Sharon's supervisor, and all I do is help her get the things done and try to finesse the organization when she needs a little assistance. People understand that the major goal of procurement is to obtain goods and services for the city at the lowest price with the highest quality and the total value package. But in addition, she makes sure that everyone is bound by the procurement rules, that we do things properly. One of our goals over the last 2 years is making sure more and more departments go through Sharon to make sure they comply with all those rules. And the sneaky secret weapon is that Sharon is a real tech lover. So she loves automating systems from manual and partial automated to make them totally automated. And that's how she gets so much done with the same staff. It's a pleasure for me to work with her and wholeheartedly endorse her reappointment.
Thank you, Mr. Dakowitz. Any further comments? Then I will call the vote. All in favor of a reappointment of Sharon Connors as the purchasing agent? Any opposed? And any abstentions? It's unanimous, and that's well-deserved. So congratulations, Ms. Connors, and we'll give you a nice round of applause. Welcome back, although you've never left. So.
That's right. It only took a long weekend, but thank you.
Okay, next item is the remarks. First, congratulations to all our high schools who graduated this past week. We had the Norwalk High School and P-TECH graduation, as well as the Brian McMahon High School and Center for Global Studies graduation. They were well attended. It was really great to be back out on the field in everybody's presence and to have the graduates come walking up on stage. It was just a really a feel-good night, both nights. As well as Wednesday night when I had to attend 6 middle school graduations in rapid succession, but we got it done. And one of the things I'm really, really impressed with, we always list the colleges that our young people are getting into. And our young people here in Norwalk are getting into the highest quality colleges all around the nation, whether it's Ivy League or other colleges that are well recognized. I am totally impressed. And it just goes to the quality of our school system. And a lot of that has to do with us working together with the Board of Education to make sure that we give the schools and give the students what they need in order to succeed. And I want to give a real big shout out to the heroes of the pandemic, among the heroes, and that is our teachers. Our teachers had to rise up under very difficult circumstances and find creative ways to keep our students engaged, inspired, to help them learn by using Chromebooks and hybrid methods of teaching. Some were in class, some were out of class. And I know for a fact that having had my grandchildren here at a time when they were on a Chromebook, it's easy to turn off the video, walk away, and not keep your attention. But the teachers were absolutely remarkable, and they are true heroes of the pandemic, like so many others that rose up that we recognize as our heroes. So again, thank you to our teachers, and congratulations to all the graduates. Some will be going into college, some will be going into the military. I was impressed with a lot of the young people. There was a young lady that stopped. She's going into the United States Marines, and she's so proud. So we really have some great children, great young men and women. And I believe wholeheartedly that our future is solid with these young people. Also, give a great shout out to the Norwalk High School Bears baseball team. They were ranked number 24 in the state SEAC tournament. They went through everybody and they finished number 1. They won the Class LL state championship by a score of 1-0 over West Hill. And that gave me great pride, because not only that, I had to get back at Mayor David Martin because he owed me one. So David Martin, if you're listening, we got you. We won 1-0, and better luck next time. The last thing I have to do is most of you already know this, but we have 14 members of the council present tonight. One of our council members is not present because he is with his wife. They have just delivered a beautiful baby girl. So congratulations to Nick Sachinelli and Crystal. We wish them well, and mom and baby are doing extremely well. I don't know how well dad is doing, but the others are doing well. So congratulations. And that is all I have, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Kites, who is stepping in for Mr. Sachinelli.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I also want to congratulate my good friend and colleague, Nick Sachinelli, and his beautiful wife, Crystal, on their baby daughter. Okay, this evening, Mr. Livingston will be reading the consent calendar. Mr. Livingston?
Thank you, Mr. Kites.
Thank you.
Starting 7A, Recreation, Parks, and Cultural Affairs Committee. 1A, authorize the Mayor Harry W. Rilling to enter into an agreement with JS Endurance for the use of Veterans Park for the SoNo Half 5K to be held on Sunday, October 3rd, 2021 from 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Set up to begin Saturday, October 2nd, 2021 at 9 a.m. With tear down no later than 1 p.m. on Sunday, October 3rd, 2021. Estimated attendance 1,000 to 1,200. 7A1B, authorize the use of the showmobile by JS Endurance for the SoNo Half 5K to be held at Veterans Park on Sunday, October 3rd, 2021 from 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. 7A2A, authorize the Mayor Harry W. Rilling to enter into agreement with the William Revis Charitable Fund for their use of Calf Pasture Beach for the Revis Ride and Walk 2021 to be held on Sunday, October 17th, 2021 from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. Set up to begin on Saturday, October 16th, 2021 at 7 a.m. with tear down no later than 3 p.m. on Sunday, October 3rd, 2021. Estimated attendance 400. 7A2B, authorize the Mayor Harry W. Rilling to enter into an agreement with the William Revis Charitable Fund for the use of the Cranberry Park Pavilion 1 for the Revis Ride and Walk to be held Sunday, October 17th, 2021 from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Estimated attendance 400. 7A2B, 2C, authorize the use of the showmobile by the William Revis Charitable Fund for the Revis Ride and Walk to be held Sunday, October 17th, 2021 from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. 7A3A, authorize the Mayor Harry W. Rilling to enter into an agreement with the Norwalk Conservatory of Arts for their use of Matthews Park for Broadway in the Park to be held Sunday, August 8th, 2021, Sunday, August 15th, 2021, Sunday, August 22nd, 2021, and Sunday, August 29th, 2021 from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. each performance date. Set up to begin at 4:30 p.m. and tear down by 7:30 p.m. each performance date. Estimated attendance 400 to 500. 7A3B, authorize the use of the showmobile by the Norwalk Conservatory of Arts for Broadway in the Park on Sunday, August 22nd, 2021, and Sunday, August 29th, 2021, from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. each day. 7A4, authorize the Mayor Harry W. Rilling to execute addendum number 1 with TD and Sons for project number 4033 RNP 2020-2 West Rocks Middle School Soccer Field Complex dated October 10, 2020 for a sum not to exceed $180,000, accounts noted. 7B, Finance and Claims Committee. 7B1, accept and approve the report of the Claims Committee dated June 10, 2021. 7B2, for informational purposes only, narrative on tax collections dated June 10th, 2021. 7B3, for informational purposes only, monthly tax collectors report dated May 2021. 7B4, now therefore be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Norwalk, A1, that pursuant to Norwalk City Code, Chapter 58, the mayor is hereby authorized, directed, and empowered in the name of and in behalf of the City of Norwalk to execute the tax abatement agreement and any amendments or revisions thereto, provided such amendments or revisions are not of a substantive nature. In general, the tax abatement agreement is designed to abate the municipal real estate taxes of the Rowayton Senior Housing Corporation for a period of up to 40 years, except there will be a payment in lieu of taxes as more detailed in the agreement. B2, the mayor is further authorized to provide such information or execute such other documents in connection with this tax abatement to or with such agencies of the federal or state governments as may assist the Rowayton Senior Housing Corporation in meeting its commitment to make payments in lieu of taxes to the city. 7B5 from Board of Estimate and Taxation, Special Capital Appropriation Request. A resolution, approve a special capital appropriation in amount not to exceed 180,000 for capital project account number 0906-030-577-CO631 West Rock Soccer Complex to be used for additional drainage improvements and tree plantings. B, authorize or resolution authorize the issuance of $180,000 general obligation bonds in the city to meet the appropriation for project 09206030-5777-CO631 West Rock Soccer Complex. 7B6, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute any and all documents necessary to loan the 6th Tasking District $550,000 for the expansion of the Ambler parking lot and for upgrading the Rowayton Fire Department's emergency communication system and to secure the repayment of the loan, said loan being first authorized as part of the fiscal year 2021-2022 capital budget. And moving on to 7D1, Community Services and Personnel Committee. Authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an after-school partnership extension agreement with the Norwalk Housing Authority commencing from the end of the agreement's initial term through June 30, 2023. And I believe that is the consent calendar.
Thank you, Mr. Livingston. I will now begin a roll call vote. Mr. Burnett,
Aye.
Mr. Langella,
Aye.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
and Mr. Session is not with us. Mr. Huvelman,
Aye.
Mr. Roberts,
Aye.
Ms. Young,
Yes.
Ms. Revelous,
Aye.
thank you. I'm also a yes. Mr. Theodorides,
Yes.
Mr. Sirenides,
Yes.
Mr. Keegan,
Yes.
Mr. Livingston,
Yes.
Ms. Shanahan.
Yes.
Great, that is unanimous. Back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Kites. One thing I forgot to mention during my comments, I'll mention it now. This Saturday, June 26th at 9 a.m., starting at Vets Park, we are going to have a parade for the Norwalk High School baseball team. So come on out and give them a shout out and let them know that we're behind them. So now the item, I believe, is Mr. Burnett, item 7B7.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Rilling. Item 7B7, resolution to authorize issue and sell of up to $47 million of City of Norwalk general obligation refunding bonds. I would like to move this item, and we have with us our Chief Financial Officer, Henry Dakowitz, along with our bonding counsel, Bruce Chudwick, to provide further detail on how we are looking to take advantage of the great position currently on Wall Street so that we can refinance certain bonds as well as further bond sales that will save the city several dollars. So over to our Chief Financial Officer, Henry Dakowitz.
Thank you, Mr. Burnett. I would also add that Bill Lindsay from our financial advisory firm, Munistat Services, is also with us. Refundings are very similar to refinancings of mortgages. When there is an opportunity to take a high interest rate loan and the market has moved to lower rates, what we try to do is issue new bonds at the lower rates, take the proceeds, pay off the old bonds. There are limitations and restrictions on tax-free bonds. However, right now, rates are so good that we can issue new bonds in the taxable market, take these funds, pay off the old debt, and save some money. Sorry. One of the things that's fascinating to me is that the bonds, we've been doing refundings ever since I got here 2 years ago. We did one refunding 2 years ago. We did two different refundings last year as rates kept coming down. Rates went up for 6 months last fall, and starting January, February, they started coming down again. We have underwriters and our financial advisor look at the market and determine whether it is profitable for us to refund. We are refunding issues that were originally borrowed in 2017 and 2018, which at that time we thought were very good rates, generally in the range of 3 to 4%. However, market rates are so low. The 10-year treasury rates today are about 0.95%, and the treasury rates, the municipal rates, and the municipal rates for 30-year bonds are 1.5%. Consequently, we did the calculations, and by issuing these bonds at this time, we are looking at a present value savings of 1.2 million. Let me explain what that means. So if you had a mortgage and you issued new debt at a lower rate, each payment that you make would be for smaller dollars. So we do the same things with our bonds. We pay them twice a year. The average maturity on the refunded bonds is about 7 3/4, 8 years. So for 8 years, we will have lower interest rate payments. We take the difference of all those payments, starting from now out the 8 years, and then we do a calculation called present value to say, what is that worth today in today's dollars? And the answer is the 1.2 million. So it's a one-time savings. It's not an annual savings. We are issuing, depending upon the market, $45 to $48 million of new bonds, and we will use those proceeds to take out the old bonds. So again, just grabbing an opportunity that the market is giving us. Two reasons for the timing, not just the market. Because the market has been coming down in the last 3-4 months, what we've noticed is what they call the fundamentals, the supply-demand balance of municipals is favoring issuers. June 30 is a big date each year when bonds mature. And when investors get that money back, they have to reinvest it. So there's a lot of pent-up demand for the reinvestment of those funds come July. Normally, we issue bonds August or September. I accelerated it a little bit. We are working to price the bonds on July 15th. So that's why we're rushing a little bit. You never know what can happen in these markets, but while the going is good, we're going to try to get some. At the same time, we added the refunding and tacked it on to the new money borrowing of $45 million. We do this to save costs on the cost of issuance. We already have an official statement. We're already paying the rating agencies to rate our bonds. Our bond lawyers and our financial advisor are already getting paid. So we're taking all of those costs and now spreading it over a total of $95 million rather than 45. So that's why we're doing it now. I prefer to get more savings, but maybe it's because we've been efficient in the past. It's getting harder and harder. But I really feel, given the monetary policy in the next 12 to 24 months, interest rates may go up. There are hints of inflation. Consequently, we're trying to do that right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dakowitz.
Bruce or Bill, would you like to add some comment?
Just going to ask Mr. Chudwick or Mr. Lindsay if they have anything to add.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Henry. He explained it very well. We've been working with Henry and his staff to put together the bond package along with Bill Lindsay, and the resolution before you this evening spells out the process for issuing the refunding bonds. Exactly the same as what we do with new money bonds, with a committee taking a look at the interest rates when we price the bonds and moving forward to see what the savings are at that point in time. So Same resolution as you've seen the last year or two with the refunding issuance that we've done for the city. So hopefully the market will hold and we'll get a good pricing and save the city some money. Bill?
Mr. Lindsay?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Henry and Bruce. I really don't have anything to add. I think Henry summarized it very well. Other than to just say, the average coupon on the bonds that we are refinancing here is actually sub 3%, just a shade under 3%. So again, bonds we did not expect to be able to refinance time they were issued. We're happy to say that there's an opportunity to save a significant amount for the city. That's it. Thank you.
Mr. Livingston, I think you had your hand raised.
I did. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to commend Mr. Dakowitz and his team. It's really impressive that they stay on top of the market conditions and take this opportunistic approach, which as demonstrated by these numbers, is going to save our taxpayers money. And it helps make everything a little easier for us with this. So thank you for your effort and appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comment or discussion? Mr. Langella?
I just want to echo the sentiments of Councilperson Livingston as well too, Mr. Dakowitz, Mr. Chadwick, Mr. Lindsay. Thank you again for staying ahead of this on the market. I know this isn't the most glorifying or it screams huge headlines, but it saves the city money. You're right about the chatter about inflation. So thank you so much for the strategic foresight here. So appreciate it.
Thank you.
Further comment? Well, seeing none, I will ask for a vote and also thank Mr. Dakowitz, Mr. Chudwick, and Mr. Lindsay for this savings that we're going to be experiencing, hopefully. So all in favor? Opposed? An abstention. Not surprisingly, the motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next is item 7C 1 and 2, Ms. Shanahan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to pass this along to our friend and colleague, Dominique Johnson, who's done all the work on these two items. So Dominique, take it away. Thank you very much for setting this up for us all as well. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, I appreciate that, Chair, Ordinance Chair Shanahan. I can then read these two together, or do I move them separately?
I think separately would probably be better.
Very good. Thank you, Mayor Rilling. So C1, approve the following revisions amendments to the following city code section, chapter 59A housing equal opportunity, sections 59A-1 and 59A-2. I want to thank, of course, the chair. And if you haven't followed this through ordinance, for those watching at home, I also want to thank Attorney Sapienza, who I saw was on the call earlier, perhaps, if people have some questions. But this came about, I think, really in a couple ways. We had some antiquated, somewhat offensive language in our city code that seemed to fall in what is on the agenda tonight, especially with regards to disability status. And we also had some, since 1999, some improvements in non-discrimination protections at the state level for sexual orientation that was not reflected in this code. And so thanks to Attorney Sapienza, we were able to take the state law that exists and make it reflective here in our code in the city. Also, what we're doing is updating some of the languages you'll see in the red line, including status as a veteran, and giving a more modernized definition of sexual orientation to be the most inclusive it can be, given where some of the more inclusive cities are. We now join them. This is just an important point to make, that the city of Norwalk always protected these classes. And I think thanks to Fair Housing Officer Margaret Suib, and a big thanks to the former acting Fair Housing and Human Relations Director, Annie Keegan, for drawing my attention to these potential loopholes with the omitted state statutes here. I really want to thank them. And if anybody has any questions, but I'm proud to say that while this was in no way, shape, or form meant to drop in June, it is Pride. And so it just so happens to be kind of one of those things. But obviously the state statutes prevail, and we're lucky to live in a state with these type of laws, but now our code reflects that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Do we have any comment, discussion? Ms. Shanahan.
I do want to thank Dominique. She did bring it to our committee. She worked so tirelessly to get all of this language cleared up, both for this code and then also for the next one, Human Relations Commission. And she and Matthew just were really on top of this, and appreciate all of your work for doing it. And I love the serendipity that it falls in June. How about that?
Thank you. Further discussion. Mr. Hooverman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to echo the sentiments and say thank you to Councilperson Johnson and also to our Chair of Ordinance, Chair Shanahan, because I feel that she's allowed this committee to really be forward thinking and to take on some of these issues, which I think are incredibly important to the city. And I'm very proud of the work that they've done for us, and look forward to more. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion. Mrs. Smith.
Just a word, brava. Thank you.
Very well said. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of item 7C1? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And now we have 7C2. Ms. Shanahan, are you going to hand that one off too?
I absolutely am.
Okay.
Where credit is due.
Thank you. And I also want to echo Councilmember Hooverman, to have such a strong ordinance chair who is just so collaborative in terms of us getting this work done on behalf of the people we serve is just meaningful to a great deal. So thank you very much. I'd like to move the item C2, approve the following revisions and amendments, revisions/amendments to the following city code section. Chapter 60, Human Relations Commission, sections 60-1, 60-2, and 60-5. What I'll add to this, because much of the language, as you'll see, is in a similar purpose to amend, add, modernize, as I described before. Again, I want to say that the city of Norwalk, and working with the Fair Housing and the folks over in Human Relations and Community Services, I mean, they just have, they really are so wonderful to be mindful of being inclusive, to be mindful of being purposeful about that inclusion. And so they've just been there. They already told me, like, look, we already help Norwalkers do these things. We're already there for them. So I want to be clear that this is just an updating of language. We're not offering any additional kind of protection, so to speak. But this is just the inclusion of the language and the closing of a potential loophole. That's all I have on this one, and I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson, and thank you for all your hard work in these two items. Any further discussion or comments? Ms. Young.
I just want to echo what others have said. It's pleasing to know that the ordinance committee is really diving in and finding places where we need to update and just bring things more in line with the 21st century, right? And that hasn't always happened. And so it's pleasing, and I'm glad to know that we've got all these sets of eyes looking at our ordinance, because I know that there's a lot more that needs to be done. And this is a beginning, and I'm just confident and glad to know that the committee is looking at every aspect of the city ordinances and where those changes need to be made. So just kudos to the entire ordinance committee. So.
Thank you, Ms. Young. That was spot on. Thank you. Any further comments? Okay, seeing none. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. Yep, very well done. Ms. Shanahan?
Is it time for a motion for adjournment? I beat you this time.
I was just going to say that.
I think it could be.
Motion
I
to adjourn.
second. I second.
Third,
I'm not
fourth,
playing
fifth,
anymore.
I
everybody.
second.
Hollywood
Okay.
Squares.
Ms. Shanahan has made a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries unanimously. Have a great evening, everybody.
Good night,
Good night.
everybody. Happy
Good night,
4th of July.
everybody.
Thank you.
Be well. Happy Pride.